Hello, I'm Tom Wilkinson, and welcome to the Thinking in English podcast, a podcast aimed at intermediate to advanced level English learners. In this episode, I want to talk about St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day is an incredibly popular celebration of Ireland and Irish culture, with events taking place all around the world. However, the history of this holiday is actually incredibly surprising. Let's learn about the life of St. Patrick, the history of the festival, and some of the myths surrounding the events. But first, why not follow the Thinking in English Instagram page, Thinking in English podcast, or the link is in the description. And you definitely should look at our blog, thinkinginenglish.blog, for all transcripts and bonus content. Here is today's vocabulary list. As always, the written list is available in the description of the podcast and also on our blog, thinkinginenglish.blog. Enthralling. Enthralling. If something is enthralling, it keeps someone's interest or attention completely. For example, I found your book absolutely enthralling. Festivities. Festivities. Festivities are the parties, meals, and other social activities with which people celebrate a special occasion. For instance, if you're in Europe during winter, you should join in with the Christmas festivities. Advocate. Advocate. An advocate is someone who is publicly supporting something. For example, he's a strong advocate of human rights. To inhabit. To inhabit. To live in a place. For example, these remote islands are inhabited only by birds. To convert. To convert. To convert means to change to a new religion, belief, or opinion, or to make someone do this. For example, he converted to Catholicism when he got married. Mythology. Mythology. Mythology is a popular belief that is probably not true. For example, there is a lot of mythology surrounding the origin of that country. To banish. To banish. This means to send someone away, especially from their own country, and not allow them to come back. For example, he was banished to an uninhabited island for a year. To flee. To flee. This means to escape, especially by running away because of danger or fear. For example, in order to escape his enemies, he fled to the mountains. Misconception. Misconception. A misconception is an idea that is wrong because it has been based on a failure to understand a situation. For example, I'd like to clear up the common misconception that older workers don't know how to use technology. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of unique and enthralling holidays and festivals spread around the globe. Each of these festivals and holidays have their own origin stories and interesting celebrations. Personally, I think that learning about holidays and festivals is fascinating, as it can teach us a lot about different cultures. In one of the first episodes of Thinking in English, I introduced a British festival known as Bonfire Night or Guy Fawkes Night, where we set off fireworks on the anniversary of a failed plot to blow up the UK's Houses of Parliament. If you want to know more, I'll leave a link to that episode in the description. But today, I'm going to talk about a celebration that many of you will have heard of, but probably won't know about its real history. Every year, on March 17th, the nation of Ireland and millions of people around the world celebrate St. Patrick's Day. Whether you are Irish or not, you've probably heard of this holiday, and maybe even joined in with the festivities. St. Patrick's Day is a beloved tradition in which thousands of people come together to dress in green clothes, drink Irish beer and stout, eat traditional Irish food, and celebrate being Irish and celebrate Ireland itself. This is what St. Patrick's Day has become in our modern world. But how much do you really know about the day? Who was St. Patrick? Why does he have a day named after him? And how is St. Patrick's Day celebrated around the world? And why is it celebrated around the world? St. Patrick is the patron saint of Ireland. In Christianity, a patron saint is regarded as the protector or advocate of a nation, place, craft, activity, class, clan, family, or person. St. Patrick is probably the best known patron saint of a country. Other patron saints in the United Kingdom and the British Isles include St. George, patron saint of England, St. Andrew, patron saint of Scotland, and St. David, patron saint of Wales. Rivaling St. Patrick for the best known patron saint overall is the patron saint of love, St. Valentine. Although there isn't too much evidence surrounding the early story of St. Patrick, there are some facts that are generally accepted. St. Patrick was probably born in Roman Britain in the 5th century. He was not born in Ireland, like is commonly thought. At this time, the island of Britain was controlled by the Roman Empire, and it is likely that Patrick's family were members of the Roman society, rather than native Celtic people. At the age of 16, Patrick was kidnapped by pirates and taken to Ireland as a slave. 5th century Ireland was inhabited by Celtic pagan tribes who were Druids. Druids are the ancient religion of the British Isles. After several years in Ireland, he escaped and returned to Britain, but he returned with a love for the people of Ireland. After becoming a priest in the Catholic Church, he decided to return to Ireland to convert the people of the country to Christianity. He was apparently very successful in his aims to convert the Irish. In the years following his death, the mythology surrounding St. Patrick's life has become a key part of Irish culture. Perhaps the best known legend of St. Patrick is that he explained the Holy Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, using the 3 leaves of the native Irish clover, also known as the shamrock. One of the most popular legends today is that St. Patrick banished snakes from Ireland. However, although Ireland is completely free from snakes, this has probably always been the case. It's unlikely that St. Patrick did anything to kick the snakes out of Ireland. Our modern day St. Patrick's Day is held on March 17th, the anniversary of his death. Irish people have celebrated this day as a religious holiday for about 1,000 years. However, their celebrations were nothing like our modern festivities. Traditionally, people would visit church in the morning before holding a feast later in the day, where they would eat bacon and cabbage. America, not Ireland, is where many of the modern celebrations associated with St. Patrick's Day started. St. Patrick's Day's parades are now well known events in mid March around the globe, but it is actually believed that the first parade was held on March 17th, 1601, in a Spanish colony in what is now St. Augustine, Florida. It was organized by an Irish Catholic vicar working in the Spanish colony. Nearly 2 centuries later, homesick Irish soldiers serving in the English army marched in New York City on March 17th, 1772, to honor the day. As more Irish people moved across the Atlantic Ocean to the Americas, Irish groups and societies began to hold annual parades involving bagpipes and drums. Nearly 1 million Irish immigrants moved to the USA in the 19th century as they fled famine in their home country. The Irish were not treated well or respected by the US. Irish people were seen as having strange accents, a strange religion, and as being violent and drunk. So their lives were often very difficult. It was difficult to find jobs, and they were not respected by other people. St. Patrick's Day became an important occasion for these poorly treated immigrants to come together and celebrate. In 1848, several different New York Irish societies and organizations decided to combine their parades to create one official New York City St. Patrick's Day parade. This is now the largest parade in the United States, with over 150,000 participants and 3 million people watching the 5-hour procession on the streets of New York every year. Other American cities, including Boston, Chicago, Philadelphia, and Savannah, Georgia, also celebrate the day with parades involving between 10,000 and 20,000 participants each. In addition to parades, there are now a number of different celebrations around the world. One of the most famous occurs in Chicago, where the city's river is dyed green on March 17th. This tradition started in 1962, when they released enough vegetable dye into the river to turn it green for a whole week. Now they only use enough dye to turn it green for a few hours because of environmental problems. Celebrations are no longer limited to just Irish immigrants, but all people. And St. Patrick's Day is especially popular in the US, Canada, and Australia. Despite this, however, it is now an international festival, with celebrations occurring in places as far away as Singapore, Japan, and Russia. People often eat Irish soda bread, corned beef, and cabbage on St. Patrick's Day, as well as wearing green. Interestingly, St. Patrick's Day in Ireland has traditionally been very different. It has been a religious holiday, and the American-style celebrations didn't arrive in Ireland until the 20th century. In fact, until the 1970s, pubs were unable to open on St. Patrick's Day in Ireland. Now, all around the world, pubs are an essential part of the St. Patrick's Day celebrations. However, since 1995, the Irish government has used St. Patrick's Day as a way to increase tourism to the country and promote Ireland around the world. So now you know all about the history of St. Patrick and St. Patrick's Day, as well as about some of the celebrations around the world. To finish this episode, I want to talk about some of the famous misconceptions people have about this holiday. Some of them I've already mentioned, but I'll recap them here. First, St. Patrick was not Irish. He was also not British, as many people believe. Because although he was born on the island of Britain, or what is now Britain, he was from a Roman family, and he was a Roman citizen. In the only two surviving documents written by him, he wrote in Latin and signed his name Patricius or Patricius. The second myth is that St. Patrick was the first person to take Christianity to Ireland. Certainly, he was an important part of early Irish Christianity, but he was not the first person. In 431 AD, before Patrick began preaching in Ireland, Pope Celestine reportedly sent a bishop known as Palladius to the Irish believing in Christ. This suggests that there were already Christians in Ireland before Palladius arrived, and certainly before Patrick. The third myth is that the colour green has always been linked to St. Patrick. Despite people around the world wearing green costumes, drinking green drinks and beers, and the city of Chicago dyeing its river green every year, blue was historically the colour of Ireland's patron saint. An order of knights from medieval Ireland, known as the Order of St. Patrick, used to wear a colour called St. Patrick's blue. It wasn't until the 18th century when Irish independence supporters started to wear green. And this means that now the colour of Ireland is green, and people around the world associate St. Patrick with green. And the final myth I want to talk about is concerned with corned beef. Corned beef is a type of salted beef dish that's very popular in the USA, amongst Jewish communities around the world, and also in Ireland and the UK. If you ask an American to name a traditional Irish food, or a traditional St. Patrick's Day food, they will almost certainly say corned beef and cabbage. While Ireland does have similar dishes to corned beef, and it is an Irish dish from a long time ago, this is not the traditional food on St. Patrick's Day in Ireland. Instead, a type of bacon, similar to ham, is the main dish on the holiday table. Pork was much more affordable and common in Ireland compared to beef. So here is today's final thought. On today's episode, I wanted to introduce St. Patrick's Day to all of you. St. Patrick's Day is one of the most famous and popular celebrations around the world. Hopefully, after listening to this episode, you know a little more about the history of this holiday and why it is celebrated. Have you ever joined a St. Patrick's Day celebration? Does your country have any interesting festivals or celebrations? And what did you know about St. Patrick's Day before today? Thank you for listening to today's episode of Thinking in English. Please share with your friends, check out our social media links in the description, and send us a message. We really appreciate all of your feedback. And if you have any ideas for topics or future podcast guests or any other learning format, please let us know. And please leave me a rating. We're now on Instagram. I'm sure you've already seen it, but go there, check it out. Lots of good content about vocabulary, pronunciation, and grammar. And Instagram is a great way to contact me. It's Thinking in English Podcast on Instagram, or the link is in the description. Also, all of the transcripts of the podcast are now available on the Thinking in English blog. Vocabulary list, comprehension questions, and all of the articles are there for you to read. That link is also in the description, so please check it out too. Thank you, and see you next time.